If you're looking for a game that's going to scratch that addicting classic JRPG experience presented in a modern pixel art design, you are in the right place. Deseret Game Studios, or the developers of Aegis Force, reached out to me to make this project possible. As someone who's played with an early access demo for hours, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about Aegis Force, the Scorian War, so ultimately I can help you decide if this game is for you. The story of Aegis Force takes place in the continent of Ianua, a land that suffers from the unending war between the people of Turamain and Genoa. These two superpowers have been in conflict for nearly a century with no signs of truce or understanding, but instead deepens their growing hate for one another and continues to clash with small to wide-scale battles across the borders of their lands. The people of Genoa, who govern the western part of the continent, are known for their ability to harness immense arcane powers that inform their society and power their traditions. A monarchy driven by magic, which thrives with mage guilds, draconic bloodlines, and magical knights. The people of Turamain, on the other hand, controls the eastern part of the continent and takes advantage of the steam-powered machines and advanced technology to power up their society and military forces. A nation-centralized technocracy driven by steam and steel. You as a player will take the role of Callan Roth, a genuine tactimagus and the protagonist of the story. As Callan, you will take dangerous missions for the people of Genoa along with your friend Orvus Magnarik and ultimately put an end to this long-standing war. The developers, Deseret Game Studios, take great inspiration from classic JRPG cult classics such as Shining Force, Tactics Ogre, and Chrono Trigger, especially Final Fantasy Tactics. So Final Fantasy Tactics fans will have a great idea of how the story will be presented. During my time with the early access demo, it has little context about how the story pans out aside from the main elements and characters that we just went through. I think the developers are saving the full narrative on launch, and as a longtime fan of the Final Fantasy series, I can say that the setting interests me, especially if you are having story vibes of Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy V. And according to Deseret Game Studios, this game is heavily story-driven, so we can expect that they will pay great attention to the game's narrative. So my expectations are quite high when it comes to the overall narrative. One of the strongest feats of Aegis Force is the game's overall art style. The game is being presented in a vibrant 2.5D pixel art style, which many of you are fans of, including yours truly. Pixel art is a timeless style, at least in my opinion, and it is always nice to see placing these pixel art characters in a 3D space. Although this design is not entirely new, we JRPG fans fell in love with this design when games like Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, and more were introduced to us, and Aegis Force is a welcome addition to the genre. Players will be exploring lush forests, vibrant cities and towns, enormous mountain passes, and more. Although in all of the demos that I played so far, the levels and areas that I've seen were quite limited, and Deseret Game Studios truly prepared a lot of exciting levels for the players to explore on full launch. Since I played limited demos so far, it's hard for me to determine how the story progression works. However, judging from the latest trailer so far, we can expect a traditional JRPG experience where we'll be following real-time events while getting the chance to explore towns, cities, dungeons, vast lands, and even a fleshed-out world map. Dungeons or level explorations are expectedly presented in a traditional JRPG manner where you will be investigating the area to complete your objectives while having a chance to explore the nooks and crannies of that certain area, filled with side paths, hidden locations, and more. Exploration is being encouraged here, incentivizing players with breakable barrels and boxes, along with treasure chests containing valuable consumables and other special items. These consumables can save you in dire situations in combat, which I will dive into later on. Aside from hunting and finding treasure chests, story progression will require you to hunt hidden key items in certain locations that will let you progress, or find key enemies that drop the said key items. As mentioned, I had the chance to play the demo early, and it let me explore the Ruiner's Pass. This is one of the many levels in store for us. Judging the whole exploration so far, it is quite linear but spacious, with side paths that a player can explore to hunt for treasures as mentioned. When it comes to character progression and customization, players will be able to experiment with different types of characters with unique initial classes upon recruiting them. And these starting classes evolve depending on special requirements, giving them new abilities and additional stats. This system is called the Epithet System. I wasn't able to experience this special feature in the demo due to its limited access. However, the developer mentioned that the Epithet System is the main way in which character progresses in the game, aside from the traditional leveling system. This excites me the most since if you are a follower of the channel, you know how I love creating character builds or mixing and matching party compositions, and I'm telling you, we do have a lot to play with in Aegis Force. In the demo, I was able to play with the basic party compositions, which involves Callum Roth or the protagonist of the story, who is your damage sponge or has the tank role that can receive attacks for you. I'm telling you, if this guy is not around, your party is already at a disadvantage. Thanks to his defensive buffing ability and huge HP, he can direct attacks and save his comrade from heavy hitting attacks. Orvus Magnarik is Callum's closest friend, a mage capable of casting strong fire spells to exploit elemental weaknesses and also heals your party. Just like in any JRPG, without your healers, enduring battles would not be possible. The third party member is Vedat, an elven archer who can obviously pull off strong hitting range attacks, useful when taking advantage of terrain edges when sniping specific targets. There are other characters available in the demo, and I believe they are better saved for surprises. And these are just few examples of characters that you can play with. According to Deseret Game Studios, we can play more than 10 characters in the game with evolving classes in each of their kits. Just imagine the different party combinations that we can experiment with throughout the game. Aegis Force is a pure tactical JRPG title inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre, so expect your core tactics element in the game's combat, such as exploiting the enemy's blind sides, taking advantage of elemental weaknesses, terrain advantages, and more. But commanding large-scale party sizes is one of my favorite features when playing these types of games, and Aegis Force is giving you that freedom. Knowing which enemy to go first and the ones to avoid when placing your key characters in the field influences the outcomes of fights. This game always engages its players with large-scale clashes, so planning is everything. Just by playing the demo, I can say that the difficulty is nearly balanced and engaging. One thing is for sure, you can't streamline battles with brute force alone. Each of your party members' roles matters in the field, and thoughtful strategies are required to win fights. Speaking of strategies, the icing on the cake is that each of your characters will have special abilities called tech moves or duo moves. Like for example, Callum Roth can tank hits for you, and when he manages to cramp up enemies surrounding him, he can use his tech move the Dragon Scale with Orvus. This special ability can hit multiple enemies across the field, nuking enemies out of existence. Aegis Force the Scorian War is a pure passion project of Deseret Game Studios, a small independent studio that has a great passion for classic JRPG titles like you and me. And their aim is to share their passion by creating their first ever title and sharing it with the space. Aegis Force is set to release next year 2026 on Steam, but by the time this video comes out, you can now play the latest demo of the game on Steam, so you can experience firsthand what the game can offer at the table. I'm one of the individuals who love to support indie game studios, and Aegis Force the Scorian War is looking good so far. If you're like me who loves carefully planning strategies, presented in a 2.5D pixel art design, you will likely have a good time with this game. So I believe they are worth checking out, and you can do so by playing the latest demo on Steam today, or by checking out their official site, which I link in the description if you want to know more about the game and the studio. And of course, I would like to thank Deseret Game Studios for making this video possible. After seeing Aegis Force, what are your thoughts so far about the game? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching as always, and I will catch you on the next one.